So to start, I'm just kind of wondering if you can tell me a little bit about how this project kind of came to fruition. I'm always just kind of curious to know, when did you start working on this project? Kind of what was the process of getting it made like?
Well, we started working on it in I think it was 2019. Greg Daniels and Mike Judge were starting an animation company, and I knew Greg from working on The Office, and everybody knew Joe from being a cool animator. And so we sort of got paired up. I'd seen Joe's work and I thought it was awesome. And so we started talking about, okay, what's like an animated show we can make in the sort of in the real world? And we got going on this thought experiment about what if there were a medicine that could cure almost anything? Who would be after it? What would that look like? And we started talking about this character who's kind of a weird, oddball kind of guy. And we just went going from there. And we had a lot of the same references and movies we were thinking about and themes we were into. And so ever since then, we've been going on it. And the project went through a couple iterations. We sold it to Amazon at one point, and they didn't quite get what they were doing. And Joe made a little animated short to try and show what the tone of the show would be, and that got some excitement. And so we were able to sell it to Max, and it moved over to Adult Swim. And so now we're finally putting it in the world.
Sure. No, that's awesome. What a what a journey, but I'm glad it all worked out that way. That's so cool. So there's a lot of things I love about common side effects, but one of them is just kind of the animation in general and this style. It's so unique and it's so cool looking the whole time. I'm just kind of wondering when you're first like working on the show back in 2019, like you said, and you have in mind it's going to be animated. Do you know how it's going to turn out in the end? Like, is this how you envisioned it was going to look? And what was the process of kind of bringing this to life? Like,
I think that you like we had a general idea of what it was gonna look like. I think we were really trying to like lean into the kind of cinematic world and have things kind of feel grounded and feel real to sort of match the style of the way the characters are talking to each other and writing and all that stuff. But a lot of it has also kind of evolved. You know, we were very fortunate to work with such a huge, awesome uh, team of amazing artists that brought a lot to the table, and so it was this kind of slow evolution. And there were certainly parts of the show that definitely got heightened because of what they brought to it. So you know, y- w- we started. I founded an animation studio called Green Street Pictures, and we co-produced Scavenger's Reign. And I think that a big part of our whole philosophy is just trying to make things kind of look as high quality and prestige as possible, and really uh, we tried to do that with this show. And yeah, we have shout out to Benji Brook, supervising director, Wes McLean, a lot of the episodic directors, Camille Bozak and Vincent Sui. I mean, just these are artists from around the world that are incredible. And so this wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have looked the way it does without them.
Yeah, Joe's like an animation fan in addition to being into this stuff. So he's always finding these awesome people who are doing this great work and bringing them into the team, and it's a beautiful collaboration to witness.
sure, sure. I gotta say, I love the sequences when they take the actual mushrooms and everything gets so trippy there. That was so cool to watch. I love that so much. So hats off for how that all turned out because again, just so cool.
Mhm.
So I also love the show because it raises some really big questions about like big pharma and government and all of that. But at the same time, you're also really good at being really funny in this show. The quick gaggery line and the first episode, I think it was, that made me laugh out loud. Just quick little thing like that. How does the kind of that process work of balancing the big, heavier themes of the show with the comedy? Is it a lot of kind of back and forth of seeing what works, or did you kind of know exactly what tone you wanted to strike right from the get-go?
Yeah, well, we were definitely trying to go for like something that was funny, but not like super jokey and not feeling really scripted. Like we wanted everything to feel kind of organic and come out of real moments. But if you just sort of pay attention to the weird way life, you're having this important conversation in a coffee shop and something weird is going on in the background. That just felt that's our vision of how life is. And so we just tried to bring that into the show, like even people doing DEA agents on a serious stakeout are going to be trying to amuse themselves and pass the time and play each other weird music or make each other laugh, and putting that into the show just made it feel like it came to life to us.
Mm. Sure, totally. I wanted to ask you about the DEA agents too, because I loved those guys.
Oh, okay.
They were so funny. Their dynamic is so fun. I love how just kind of you introduce them and they don't even have to say much, and you kind of just immediately get what their relationship is, how they kind of work. And the voice acting is so good for it too. Just what was it kind of like bringing those guys to life? I mean, you worked with Joseph Lee Anderson and the great Martha Kelly. How was that go for you guys?
They're both great. I mean, they're both so sweet and interesting themselves. I mean, Martha's just completely unique, and having somebody with her voice and style in a role like a DEA agent seemed really funny. And
Mhm.
Joseph on his end is like, this he's really sweethearted, but he can also like, bench press 400 pounds or something. And the partnership of those two people seemed kind of interesting, and like it gave us a chance to tell a love story that's not like a romantic love story. It's just about two people that work together and really care about each other, and they started to actually really care about each other, which was really nice.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's as soon as Martha Kelly starts talking, I'm like, I know who that is. It's she's got such a
Yeah,
good voice for the role. It's awesome.
He
really,
is distinct.
really.
So the show obviously kind of already mentioned it, but it touches on some real like big world topics, big pharma, capitalism, government, and all that. And I was kind of surprised and impressed about how head on you get into everything. You don't really mince words, you kind of just go for it right away. And I loved that. So talk to me a little bit just about how you kind of infused all that in the show and what kind of you're hoping people take away from Common Side Effects in regards to those themes.
Well, like we were talking a lot about like wellness and health and how we spend so much money on this stuff, and yet people are sick all the time, and a lot of people are chronically addicted to weird drugs, legal and illegal, and what is that about, and who's profiting from it, and trying to evolve that in a way where there aren't like, little villains that are manipulating everything, but people that are caught up in this massive system that's bigger than anybody and has these strange warping effects on all of our lives that just seem true to our view of the world.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, totally, totally.
Yeah.
No,
Um,
yeah, go, sorry, go ahead.
oh no, sorry. I was just kind of wondering though, what kind of research do you have to do for a show like this? Like, do you have to like go around and actually talk to people who are like in this industry and everything to kind of really figure out how it works?
Yeah, we did. We talked to a retired DEA agent. We talked to a bunch of people in the pharmaceutical business. We talked to a tortoise biologist. We talked to people who've been in jail. We talked to as much research as we could do, and always like, we'd come in with particular questions, and then they'd sort of offhandedly mention something else that would lead to some weird little story or some phrase they use that we'd put in, or some bit of procedure. The more we can learn, the better. The less work for us.
Yeah.
Sure, sure. I'm sure that probably took a long time too, just
Yeah.
getting all those facts and everything, making sure it's all right. But
And then all the art, the visuals, all the artists are looking up. You give them an assignment, they'll be finding like real world examples and shots from old movies that can inform what they're doing, and it creates this cool cinematic quality.
Yeah, a lot of the times, like, even though we bring in somebody that's like a tortoise biologist, they would talk about sort of weird stories in their life that are not related to the tortoise at all. Like, for instance, they had to sort of scan the desert to find like tortoise eggs, and so you have to kind of go in a line with a bunch of people, and so you're kind of raking the entire desert, and of course you discover some of the kind of weirdest things. They've seen dead bodies. She's seen just like a tent with a bunch of like weird sex experiments going on inside, just like stuff like that, where we're like, oh well, we gotta, I mean, you can just sort of pull from that kind of stuff as well. And Yeah, just fascinating people. It's really nice.
Yeah, and we had a bunch of writers who were really smart, and the people who work with Joe are like just people. Everybody's had strange experiences with drugs or pharmaceuticals or the medical world, or they know someone who's a doctor. This and that crazy thing has happened, and it can feel like therapy sometimes when we're doing the writing, because we're really digging in on like
Yeah, yeah.
needing to affect your brain with a little pill.
Sure. No, that's so interesting. It's
Yeah,
that's fascinating.
and I think these are themes that will resonate with. These are things the world is talking about and thinking about.
Oh, sure, sure. I mean, it's just becoming more and more relevant every day, it seems like. So I feel like it's really going to catch on and find an audience,
I hope
which is
so.
all. So kind of from the time you started working on the show back in 2019 to like now, how would you say like it's impacted you? Is there stuff that you learned? Did your mind change at all about kind of pharmaceuticals and everything?
I would say that, we're always trying to be open-minded to where people are coming from. For every thing that you're talking about, there's Big Pharma say you can look at those guys as villains, but you can look at it from their point of view, and they're like, yeah, we have to charge a lot for these things so that we have money for research and development, and the ways that those effects kind of warp people's behavior and dehumanize us is kind of a theme that we're looking at in the show. I think it
Sure.
made us sympathetic to every possible perspective on these things.
Sure.
Exactly.
No, I mean that makes total sense. So like I said, I've seen the first four episodes. I am so excited to watch more. I'm so into it. Just kind of in general, what can you tease as far as what's coming for the second half of the season?
Oh, well, we think it just keeps building and building and getting more and more exciting. The last couple episodes are just I can brag about it because it's a masterpiece of animation and filmmaking craft. It's super fun and it's very
It,
cool.
it definitely escalates and crescendos in a really
Yeah,
cool way. There's
we're trying to just keep hitting the gas and go faster and faster until you can
Sure.
barely stand it.
exactly.
Awesome. I can't wait.
Cool.
And again, I don't know how the season ends or what's kind of coming down the pipe, but assuming that it's open for more seasons and Adult Swim said they'd be interested in continuing, would you guys be interested in doing more common side effects after this?
Yeah, we're ready to go. We pitched out a season 2 the other day, and they seemed excited about it. So hopefully we can keep telling the story. It's been a joyful experience and a fun project all around.
Sure.
Absolutely.